Yes, hello, welcome everybody. Today we are having a beautiful conversation, or at least I hope it's beautiful, but she is
Be
beautiful.
beautiful or ugly, but you'll get consciousness regardless of the
Totally.
experience.
With Julia Sotas, and we're going to talk about changing, unplugging from consciousness. Can you explain a little bit about that, Julia?
Well, I don't want to explain too much, or else people won't
Okay.
have a reason to take the class that I'm doing next weekend. And so I have to be mysterious.
True.
No, but what I really got to recently was just the things, I've really been looking at, how Gary asks something and he says, how much of the time do you go unconscious?
Yeah.
How much of the time are you spending on things to distract yourself? And I really got that in a different way. And I see people doing that really dynamically. And so I wanted to look at, like, what if you actually were more committed to consciousness and more committed to your life?
Yeah, definitely. And I totally get it because, I'm doing it. It's like you have to disconnect from consciousness to become normal again.
Exactly. That's exactly what we were talking about, wasn't it? You
Yeah.
have to become normal. And I did a private session with a guy, and wow, it looks like the news. Look at this. Look at
Does.
the thing on the bottom. This is amazing. I was doing a private session with this guy, and he had this point of view that he wanted to be cool. And, Gary's been talking a lot about being normal, and I really liked that. Like, a whole lot of what Gary would say would come back to, you're trying to be normal, you're trying to be real, and you're trying to be acceptable so that other people can live by your reality. And I was so I was so grateful for that. And then when I got to with this guy that he wanted to be cool, that was his personal nuance of the need to be normal and the need to be right. And, so how many of you are actually trying to be cool, trying to be right, and trying to be less than you in order to have a reality that other people can live by? It's like, what if people were intimidated by you because you were so different? And what if
Oof.
instead of changing that and going into a place where you were not intimidating, what if you had the point of view, if I'm intimidating you, you better get stronger, you know? Rather than, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm going to be less, I'm going to have less, I'm not going to be somebody who's creative and living beyond what you can have. How about you step up or you go away? And it's like, that's not a
Yeah.
choice that we give ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good one. It is not a choice that we give ourselves. We tend to step back. We tend to shrink ourselves and our magic instead of being actually everything we are and the contribution we are.
Right. Exactly. So it's like, yeah, what if you had the point of view, those of you watching, what if you had the point of view of, if you are going to be weak like that, get stronger, you know? Just get stronger. Too bad for you. I'm not going to live my life based on you.
Just do it. Just choose it.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you choose that?
Well, I mean, you choose to have that as a point of view and you choose to be that, and then they get a choice. I had a family member and they were judging me for a very I wanted to buy something that was eccentric and expensive. And this family member was so angry at me because of the price and the eccentricity, that they started yelling at me and throwing food at me, like, really, with, like, a real unkindness. Like, it wasn't funny, it was mean. And I
Oh,
went,
really?
"Wow, what a reaction." They were being so unkind. And I walked in, I took it in, and I went, "Wow, that was so unkind." And I went in and I went into the office where they were sitting later that day working. And and this is not my husband, just in case anybody's wondering. Um, he's very kind. He wouldn't do that to me. But and I said to them, you know, if you want to judge me like this and control me like this, you don't need to be in my life anymore. You
Wow.
can leave. And they got so upset and they were da da da. And then later they said, I am so sorry. I don't know why I had such a reaction. I actually want you in my life. And, I said, do I ever judge you and the things that you want to do with harshness? And they looked in their world and they said, never. And I said to them, why are you doing it to me? And that relationship has changed. And that person knows that I'm not going to be there if they're going to abuse me. And it's like, what if we had that demand in our life, that if you're going to abuse me, you don't need to be a part of what I have going on. And, the willingness to lose people and the willingness to be a leader of your own life. And a lot of people,
Yeah.
being a leader of your own life you're not going to have people who are your followers. That's not what a leader is. It's like a leader is, hey, get on board with what I see as possible or go away.
Yeah, and choosing for you. And that's also from the other side. I mean, people out there, if you are the one that throws food at Julia,
Yeah.
are you willing? Yeah, right. Are you willing to look at yourself like, hey, what is this?
Yeah.
Where am I unplugging from consciousness? And how can I shift and change this? And what inspiration, in this case, Julia can be for me?
Yeah. Totally. And it's like you have to have that place where you are needless enough of the people in your life to go, I'm sorry, you don't get to abuse me,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And you've got to look for what you can be with someone or say to someone that will put you in the driver's seat, because most of you like having other people drive the car of your life so that
Oh,
you're not responsible when things go wrong. And it's
yeah.
like, is that really how you want to live? Are you really going to get what you desire? And are you really going to create what you know is possible if somebody else is the one driving your life?
And that's such a great example. Because, yeah, I mean, I like to drive my car, but am I driving my life? That's
Right? That's
not
a good one,
always.
Anita. I like to drive my car, but am I driving my life? And
Yeah.
every time you react to something somebody does to you, it's like that's them driving your life. It's like, one thing that Gary said to me early on, um, when I was 23 years old, I got married and I took on three children, my husband's three children, after his wife had died, and they were young, or I was young. They were old compared to how young I was. But I knew it was something I could handle because I knew that I had the tools of access consciousness. And
Yeah.
so, I'd had them for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years at that point. And so I had a lot of self-awareness and self-confidence under my belt. And I went, you know what? This is something I can do. But with the help of a lot of facilitation from the wonderful facilitators, Gary and Dane, who really supported me through that. And you guys will have people in your life who will be there to support you, who you can phone or who you can pay for a private session. You know what I mean? It's like you do have resources about how you can lead your life and what you really can create, and people who won't judge you, who you can bounce this stuff off of. But I did that, and I got a whole lot of backlash for marrying an older man and taking on being a mom. And I had to go, okay, so do these people know me as well as they think they know me? These people who are judging me. And it's like, they didn't. And I was talking about a specific family member, and my dear friend Marilyn Bradford, who's been doing, oh, she's just an amazing woman. She's written the Right Recovery for You books, and is just an amazing facilitator. I said, so and so doesn't think that I can handle having a family. And she said, well, then he doesn't know you very well. And that was so freeing because Marilyn could see who I was as a being when I was looking to um, other people to see what I could do. And she sort of put her hand, almost like in the movies when somebody puts their hand in your chest. She
Yeah.
she went in and she saw me, and and her seeing me when nobody else would helped me to see me, and and make a choice that expanded my life, you know?
Yeah, and that's like what we choose a lot, to rather believe the other people, like not Marilyn, but the one who comes with like the unkind comments, and we're trying to search what is wrong with us instead of being the Marilyn with the hand in the heart
Yes,
and warming from the inside out.
exactly. Exactly. And it's like, I was at that time smart enough to, you know, look for the contribution of people that were functioning from more consciousness than I was willing to with regards to my situation. And that's
Yeah.
what's got me through my life. I
Yeah.
am willing to let people contribute who walk their walk, who talk their talk, and, I'm always willing to ask them for help because I needed help. I couldn't do
Yeah.
it alone. The
Yeah.
the whole reality was um against me, I guess you could say, and so I had to fight for me, you know?
Yeah, or so it felt, because that's what I notice. It feels like the whole reality is against you, but then you start to plug in to consciousness instead of plugging
And that's
out.
exactly it.
Yeah. And that's what you do when you make a choice, when you go into action, when you call a friend, when you call a facilitator, and be something else in the world.
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yep. Yep. Only the brave will get out of the trap of this reality, but if you're here, you may be
Braver.
with the people who's for way braver than you realize.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And we would truly like to invite you to this upcoming one day class that we will, or Julia facilitates online. And it's called Changing Unplugging from Consciousness. Actually, what we just talked about. Um, yeah, next weekend. Is there anything else you would like to add, Julia?
No, thank you for interviewing me, Anita, and Marlene's here, who's on the creation team, and I just love having you here too, Marlene, and thank you everybody who's listening, and choosing a different possibility is not always the easiest thing in the world, but it it's almost like, well, it's not almost. Consciousness is a bank account,
Wow.
and when you make deposits in that bank account, it's going to pay really, really high dividends in the future. And so, if you want to have a greater future, start making deposits into it, you know.
Wow. Goosebumps. Let's stop with this beautiful, it's beautiful invitation. And thank you, Julia, for joining, Marlene, and see you next
See
time.
you next time.
Bye.